Reality itself might not always be genuine, and when this happens, it becomes scarier than ever. What if the world around us is not as stable as it seems, with several glitches and haunting visions, like forests that seem to breathe and people vanishing into thin air? These bizarre moments will make you question everything you thought was possible. Join us as we explore 25 eerie glitches and scary encounters that will creep you out. Number 25. The breathing forest floor. This mesmerizing and bizarre glitch was captured on video in the forests of Sacré-Cœur, Quebec. The ground appeared to be breathing, rising and falling, like it was alive. It's the kind of sight that is sure to creep you out. At first glance, it's easy to see why this footage went viral, with people wondering if something supernatural was happening. However, meteorologists have provided a more grounded explanation. During strong windstorms, when the soil becomes saturated after rainfall, the roots of trees and loose soil begin to shift. As the wind pushes against the trees, their roots pull at the ground, creating the unsettling sight of the forest floor, moving in waves. It's a rare but explainable event, seen mostly in mossy, root-filled areas. Despite knowing the science behind it, the sight is enough to send chills down your spine, as if the forest itself is alive. Number 24. Miracle on a rail track. This unbelievable incident took place on September 9, 2015, at the Borivali station in Mumbai. CCTV footage captured a heart-stopping moment as a man falls right onto the tracks of a moving train while attempting to catch it. Instantly, other passengers on the platform rush to help, fearing the worst. But here's where things get truly baffling. This man stands up without a scratch, completely unharmed. How could this be possible? The train was already moving, and with barely any space between the train and the platform edge, it seemed like a certain disaster. Witnesses were left speechless, calling it nothing short of divine intervention. Some say there's no logical explanation for how he survived that fall. It's as if some unseen force was looking out for him in that split second. The event quickly spread across the internet, leaving people everywhere stunned. Could it be a real-life miracle, or is there some hidden factor we're missing here? Number 23. Bird spotted frozen in midair. Now, this next clip is a real head-scratcher. This video was shot in a neighborhood in Tuluá Valley, Colombia on July 9, 2020. It was first shared on Twitter by user Hechizero. At first glance, it looks like a still photograph, but as the video zooms out, you start to see people moving around below. And then you notice it, a large white bird just hanging there, frozen in midair. It's as if time itself has stopped for this bird. People on the ground start to notice this bizarre sight and gaze up in confusion. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? Are we witnessing some kind of tear in reality? As much as we'd love to dive into those theories, the most likely answer is a bit less exciting. There are countless ways to mess with camera footage and create illusions. Plus, let's not forget people love to stage these things, sometimes for art, sometimes for fun, and often just to rake in those internet clicks. Still, it's quite the visual trick. Number 22. Terrifying moments in mirror reflections. A father decided to pull off a spooky prank using digital editing, but it turned out creepier than expected. He filmed his baby in front of a mirror, and while the real child turned away from the reflection, the edited version showed the reflection staring back with dark, eerie eyes. The reflection even lagged for a few seconds before catching up with reality. Although it was just a clever use of video effects, viewers couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling it created. Our minds are wired to trust what we see in mirrors, so when something doesn't add up, it leaves us questioning our sense of reality. Mirrors have long been tied to the supernatural, from ancient legends to modern-day ghost stories, and this altered video taps right into that primal fear. Number 21. Frozen in field. Now, for a scene that seems straight out of a sci-fi movie, imagine looking out over a field and seeing hundreds of sheep standing completely still, as if someone hit the pause button on reality. That's exactly what happened to a family staying at a holiday cottage in Troutbeck, in the Lake District of England. They gazed out at the sheep, who remained frozen in place for several hours. It was so eerie that they couldn't help but wonder if the sheep sensed some sort of impending danger, or if they were under some kind of hypnosis. The footage went viral, sparking all sorts of theories, including everything from aliens to mind control. But then, a shepherd chimed in with a more down-to-earth explanation. According to him, this strange behavior could simply be due to a sudden change in weather. Sheep are known to react to environmental shifts, and this freezing in place could be their way of coping with something unusual in the air. But let's be honest, it still looks pretty spooky, almost like they were waiting for some mysterious signal. Number 20. Ghost Man saves little girl's life. And now, for a ghostly encounter that leans more towards heroics than hauntings. In a chilling piece of footage, a ghost seems to step in to save a little girl's life. She steps off the curb and into the path of an oncoming vehicle, not paying attention to the road. Just when things look dire, a mysterious figure swoops in with lightning speed, pulling her back to safety. The internet was quick to suggest that this could be the ghost of her deceased father, coming to her rescue in her moment of need. Sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie, right? But in today's world of deepfake technology and clever editing tricks, it's hard not to be a little skeptical. We can now make anything look real, from world leaders in a fistfight to love scenes with celebrities. Is this a real ghostly intervention, or just a cleverly edited piece of footage? Number 19. Tree-climbing goats in Morocco. You might be shocked to know that there are tree-climbing goats in Morocco's Argan forest. That's right. These nimble creatures actually climb trees, and they look downright bizarre doing it. Imagine goats perched up on branches like oversized, fluffy Christmas ornaments. It might seem like a Photoshop trick, but this is the real deal. These goats aren't just climbing any random tree, though. They're after something specific, the Argan tree. This tree produces green or brown fruits, hidden within its prickly branches, a delicacy for these goats. Now, here's the catch. In Morocco, food options for goats are pretty scarce, so they've adapted to make the most of what's available. While many animals wouldn't dare to eat from the Argan tree because of those thorny branches, goats are not deterred. They're pros at this. Once they've devoured all the low-hanging fruit, they climb up to the higher branches, balancing with ease. They make it look so simple, but really, it's a clever survival tactic. Number 18. Eye-shaped cloud. This is one of the strangest clouds ever spotted. Hovering over Bursa, Turkey, this mysterious cloud had everyone buzzing with questions. Shaped like a giant eye and glowing with a rose tint, it instantly went viral, with people comparing it to a UFO. Now, before you let your imagination run wild with alien invasion theories, meteorologists stepped in with an explanation. This peculiar cloud is known as a lenticular cloud, a rare weather phenomenon that occurs when air flows over high structures like mountains, causing the water vapor to condense in a unique lens-like shape. Bursa, being surrounded by mountains, is the perfect spot for this kind of natural spectacle. However, knowing the science behind it doesn't make it any less eerie. For about an hour, this massive formation lingered in the sky, casting an almost hypnotic spell on those who saw it. Number 17. Man vanishes. Now for a ghostly encounter straight out of Kentucky. This one's got people scratching their heads. In some eerie CCTV footage, a man casually strolls across a driveway. Seems normal, right? But then, just like that, he vanishes into thin air. One moment he's there, the next, he's gone. It's almost like he walked right out of this reality. But it makes you wonder, who's got the time to sift through every second of their driveway footage? Are we all this nosy about our own neighborhoods? Here's the spookiest part. CCTV cameras are everywhere these days. From doorbell cams to dash cams, it's like we're being watched around the clock. And most of us don't even realize it. Our every move is being captured, and privacy is becoming a thing of the past. We're talking about dozens of times a day, with cameras on every street corner and in almost every home. It's like we're living in a surveillance state without even knowing it. Now, that's the real scary part. Number 16. Glass-hating Eerie. Now let's dive into something spooky happening at the New Wellington pub in Newmarket, UK. Imagine having a ghost with a vendetta against glasses. This pub has become famous for its ghostly encounters. Every so often, pint glasses randomly shatter without any apparent cause. It's almost as if some invisible force is going on a rampage, targeting glassware specifically. Curious and creeped out, the owners decided to install cameras to catch the culprit in action. But instead of finding answers, they got more footage of glasses smashing for no reason at all. It's like this ghost has some deep-seated issues with glass. The incidents happen so frequently that it almost seems like the pub is truly haunted by a spirit with a grudge. While it hasn't escalated to anything more sinister, it's certainly unsettling. Number 15. Swinging Ghost. Here's a scene that left everyone scratching their heads. Scott Denton took his kids to the park for some playtime. Afterward, they all sat back in the car, ready to leave, when something caught their attention. One of the swings began moving all on its own, swaying back and forth without anyone nearby. They watched in amazement, unable to believe their eyes. Scott was so spooked by this ghostly sight that he didn't let his kids out of the car again. Believe it or not, this eerie incident even made its way to a news website in the United Kingdom. Scott insists there was no wind that day, but a quick glance at the nearby trees tells a different story. The leaves seem to rustle ever so slightly, hinting at a possible breeze. But who knows? Could this be a case of a playful park spirit? Or is it just a gusty day that caught Scott off guard? Number 14. Teleporting Child. Now, here's a scene that's truly mind-bending. Imagine casually walking down a road, and suddenly, a child just appears out of nowhere beside you. That's exactly what happened in some footage captured in India. A woman is walking through an empty field when, in an instant, a little girl seems to materialize right next to her. What's even more intriguing is how the woman reacts, or rather doesn't react. She moves her hand as if she's expecting the child to appear, almost like she's summoning her. This lack of surprise from either of them hints that this might not be their first time doing this trick. It's as if they both knew exactly what was going to happen, which raises all kinds of questions. Number 13. Odd Cat. Ever had a moment where a cat completely defies what you expect from a feline? This one did just that, leaving everyone who saw the footage scratching their heads. The cat was lying down with its fur perfectly blending into the surroundings, so much so that it appeared to be a mopey dog. The recorder kept calling out to what they thought was a depressed-looking pooch. But in a shocking twist, the dog revealed itself to be a cat, pulling off the greatest shape-shifting act ever. What's more bizarre is what happened next. This cat decided to take things up a notch. It stood up on just its hind legs and started moving around like a human. With uncanny balance, it walked towards a table and climbed up in a way that screamed, "I am not your regular house cat." It was almost as if this feline was channeling some human spirit, breaking every rule of what we know about cats. Was this just a quirky kitty? Or did we just witness a glitch that allowed a cat to mimic human-like behavior? Number 12. Bouncing manhole cover. If you think you've seen it all, think again. In Denver, Colorado, an ordinary manhole cover was caught on camera doing something extraordinary. It was bouncing. Yes, you heard that right. The heavy metal cover was literally bouncing up and down, as if it had a mind of its own. Naturally, theories about this strange occurrence started pouring in. Was it haunted? Maybe some supernatural force was playing tricks on the residents of Denver. Of course, there were more playful theories too. Some suggested it was the work of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles after a heavy pizza session, or perhaps a clown lurking in the sewers, up to no good. However, Denver Water gave a more down-to-earth explanation. They claimed it was all due to an air bubble trapped under the cover, causing it to move in such an eerie manner. Now, whether you buy into the air bubble theory or not, there's no denying that seeing an inanimate object come to life like that is the stuff of nightmares. Number 11. Unusual light source. A video surfaced recently showing a strange, bright light piercing through the sky, and it looks like something straight out of a science fiction thriller. This glowing beam seemed to emanate from a rip in the sky itself, leaving people both fascinated and terrified. Speculation went wild online, with some convinced it's a spaceship from another galaxy, while others are hinting at a possible glitch in our reality, like something out of The Truman Show. But, as with most unexplained sightings, there are always skeptics. Some suggest it's merely the light of a skyscraper peeking through a layer of fog, but even if that's the case, it doesn't take away from the sheer strangeness of the scene. The way the light cuts through the sky makes it look like a portal to another dimension. Whether you think it's an extraterrestrial visitor, a simulation error, or just an odd trick of the light, one thing is for sure. It's an unsettling sight that makes you wonder what else might be lurking just beyond our view. Number 10. Little boy ran into himself from the future. Picture this. You're heading out to get your vaccine. Nothing unusual about that, right? But then you encounter someone who looks exactly like you, but older. This strange event happened to a young boy who was heading to his vaccination appointment. He bumped into a man who was his spitting image, but with a few years added to his age. It was like looking at a time-warped mirror. The event was so uncanny that it sent shivers down the spine of everyone who saw the photo. These doppelganger encounters make you wonder about the possibilities of time travel, parallel universes, or simply the randomness of human genetics. Doppelgangers are rare, but when they appear like this, it's as if the universe itself is playing tricks on us. Number 9. Family dog spirit. Could it be that our beloved pets never really leave us? In a bizarre incident, a man in Florida got a glimpse of what he believes is the spirit of his deceased dog. While testing out the camera on his new phone, he noticed something strange. A shadowy, spirit-like figure passing right by him. Intrigued and a bit shaken, he reviewed the footage, and that's when it hit him. The shadow had the distinct shape of a dog, eerily similar to his recently passed pet. Many believe animals have a unique ability to sense spirits, and perhaps this new pet was playing with the family's deceased dog. It's as if this loyal dog was still hanging around, watching over its family from the other side. This eerie sighting left him wondering if his beloved pet had come back to say one final goodbye, or if it's decided to stay and keep watch over the household. Stories like this make you question what really happens after our pets pass on. Number 8. Daniel Radcliffe. Lookalikes. Daniel Radcliffe is known for his iconic role as Harry Potter, but what if we told you he seems to have appeared throughout history? The internet has unearthed photographs and paintings of people, mostly women, who look strikingly similar to Radcliffe. One image from the 1940s shows a young girl with his exact features. Another is an 1800s painting depicting a woman who could be his twin. Radcliffe has even joked about it, calling them his past lives. But the real mystery here is how uncanny these resemblances are. Could it be that Radcliffe has a set of doppelgangers throughout history? Or is this just a coincidence that plays tricks on our minds? Whatever the case, it's definitely one of those strange occurrences that make you question reality. Number 7. Magical briefcase. In a strange piece of footage from 2020, then-Chancellor Rishi Sunak was caught on camera after a budget meeting, carrying what appeared to be an ordinary briefcase. At first, it looked bright green, but in just a matter of seconds, it transformed into a dark brown. By just moving the briefcase to the side, it changed colors. This left many people scratching their heads, wondering if there was more to this than met the eye. Could this be a high-tech briefcase with some sort of timer and transferable layers designed to pull off this visual trick? Or was it an illusion meant to capture attention? Some suggest it might be a special material or coating that reacts to light or temperature, causing the color change. Whatever the reason, it certainly wasn't your average office accessory. Number 6. Giant goldfish. Many of us have heard that goldfish grow according to the size of their environment. If kept in a tiny bowl, they stay small, but if placed in a lake, they can grow quite large. Well, it seems like folks in the United States have been tossing their pet goldfish into lakes, and what happens next is astonishing. These once small fish have ballooned to the size of footballs. In Minnesota, people have been pulling out goldfish that are over 20 inches long and weigh nearly 9 pounds. This isn't just an oddity, it's causing real problems. These giant goldfish are wreaking havoc on local ecosystems. In places like Lake Tahoe, on the California-Nevada border, these fish are gobbling up whatever they can find, upsetting the balance of the natural habitat. They consume food meant for native species and can spread diseases, making them a real menace in the water. To combat this, authorities have had to take drastic measures, including culling these oversized goldfish to protect the environment. Before we move on, here's today's subscriber's pick. Have you ever looked at something and felt like reality itself was playing tricks on you? Well, this image might just do that. These eerie and scary glitch will creep you out. At first glance, it looks like a regular street scene, but then you notice something strange. A bicycle moving across the road without anyone riding it. It's as if the bike has a mind of its own, casually cruising through traffic, completely defying the laws of physics. Now, we could try to come up with some logical explanations. Maybe it's a clever optical illusion, or perhaps there's an unseen force at play, like a gust of wind or some sort of advanced technology. Or could it be that we're witnessing a glitch in reality, a moment where the usual rules just don't apply? Whatever the reason, it's the kind of sight that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world. So, what do you think is happening here? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Number 5. Error, loading corn. Now, let's switch gears to something even weirder. An error that looked straight out of a computer glitch, but this time, in real life. This phenomenon was spotted in a cornfield, where an unusual pattern in the rows of corn appeared. Instead of the regular, orderly rows, a section of the field looked jumbled, almost as if someone had pressed the wrong button and the simulation failed to load correctly. This wasn't just a case of bad planting. It was as if a chunk of the field glitched out of existence. What makes this even more fascinating is that these patterns have no logical explanation. The phenomenon was captured in a photograph that left people scratching their heads. Number 4. Copy-pasted clouds. A remarkable sighting in the sky has left many people stunned. Clouds that looked like they were copy-pasted. Imagine gazing up and noticing identical clouds lined up in a perfect row, each one looking like an exact replica of the other. This phenomenon was captured on camera, making everyone who saw it question the very nature of our world. Meteorologists were quick to explain that what people were witnessing might be a rare atmospheric condition. Sometimes, under very specific weather patterns, clouds can form in a repetitive manner due to the wind's direction and speed, along with temperature variations in the atmosphere. However, what made this event so eerie was the sheer perfection of the cloud copies. They were so identical that it looked like a glitch in a computer simulation rather than a natural occurrence. In places like Arizona and Texas, similar instances were reported where the clouds appeared in geometric patterns, almost like a deliberate design rather than a random act of nature. Number 3. Plane stuck in midair. Here's another puzzling sight, an airplane seemingly suspended in midair. This footage, captured near Moscow Airport, shows a plane appearing to hover without moving up or down, as one might expect with an aircraft close to the ground. Yet, for a brief moment, there appears to be no movement. Drivers below were baffled, watching as the plane hung in the sky as if frozen in time. Naturally, People jumped to all kinds of wild conclusions about this eerie sight. But the reality is probably much simpler. According to experts, this is just an optical illusion. It's likely caused by the weather and the fact that vehicles were moving in the opposite direction to the plane. When a plane is flying in one direction and cars are moving the other way, it can trick our eyes into thinking the plane is stuck in the air. If this plane really had stopped, it would quickly be plummeting to the ground, and that's a sight no one wants to see. Number 2. Floating around the city on an invisible bicycle. Ever seen someone riding a bike, but the bike itself is invisible? Sounds impossible, right? Well, not for this Chinese artist. He has created a fascinating series of photographs that seem to bend reality itself. In his project, aptly named Floating, he captured hundreds of cyclists pedaling through city streets. But here's the twist. He edited out the bicycles entirely. What you're left with are people hovering in midair, in perfect cycling positions, as if they're gliding on an invisible force. The idea behind this project is to mess with our minds a bit. Our brains are wired to expect certain things, like bikes, when we see someone in that classic cyclist pose. By removing the bicycles, this artist challenges us to question what we're actually seeing. This project isn't just a bunch of cool photos. It's a deep dive into how we interpret the world around us. Number 1. Headless Man. This next glitch is enough to send chills down your spine. Here, we see a man casually walking down a busy street, but there's something horribly off. He has no head. Yes, you heard that right. Someone captured this eerie moment on camera while driving through a crowded road. At first, you might think it's some kind of trick, or maybe a camera glitch. However, the figure walks so naturally, it makes you question everything. Now, skeptics have jumped in, claiming it's just a hoax or maybe a case of weird camera angles. But there's a mythical element here that adds to the creepiness. Some legends talk about headless beings appearing throughout history, often as omens or otherworldly visitors. Could this be one of those mythical figures making a surprise appearance in the 21st century? Or is there a more rational explanation? Whatever the case, this footage is as mysterious as it gets. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.